Hey guys, welcome to my channel again. Today I'm going to show you and give you a little bit of tour of the backyard. The backyard is situated on the north side of the property. In my last video I show you the west side of the house, which is where you will be standing if you were here one-on-one with me. We ended up that video with me showing you everything about these huge planters and the trellises that I made from hydrangea cuttings. If you haven't watched that video, I will put the link in the description below. But basically this path over here, this brake path that I made a few years ago, walks you towards the back of the house where my backyard is. In the backyard, I basically have my garden fountains, I have the detached garage, and then I have my vegetable garden. The vegetable garden is the second year that I have it this year, so it's thriving, it's doing great. It has been raining like crazy here in central Indiana. For the past week, it has been raining every day. We have storms every day. It rained yesterday, it rained last night, it rained this morning. So you can see my daisies are just flopping everywhere. I have a bunch of things that are just loaded with water. So you will see that in the video, but if I don't make this video this week, I am not gonna have time to make it later, and by that time things will be probably already past their beautiful time of blooming. So let me show you around, and I hope you like the video. As we walk towards the backyard, you can see on this side I have a whole hedge of Korean lilacs. When I first found these lilacs, I found them in the summer, and at first I wasn't sure what they were, but I fell in love with the foliage. The leaves of the lilacs are petite and they're beautiful, and that was the first thing that caught my eye. And later when I found out that there were lilacs, it was even better. So I brought them home. They were still little and they are doing amazing here. I haven't done any pruning on them whatsoever since I brought them here. I give them a little bit of fertilizer, rose tone fertilizer from Spoma every spring when they start showing up buds, and they do well here. My idea is to create a hedge here that it's both beautiful in the spring when they bloom and also throughout the year. On the opposite side of the lilacs, I have another hedge of boxwoods. If you notice by now, I love boxwoods. I use them in containers, as hedges. I pop them here and there in my garden. I think they're absolutely amazing. They're not picky, they are evergreen, and they add that touch of formality to my gardens when everything else is just going wild. I have a cute bench that I found on Amazon. I love it. I think it's holding well in the winter. I just got it last year, so I think that it's doing great. This right here, you guys, is my surprise of a hydrangea. Last year, I cut my hydrangeas, I pruned them, and I used the branches, the containers, the cuttings to make a trellis. The cuttings were touching the soil where I was making my trellises, and most of them basically rooted. I did not plan for that to happen, so I was constantly just cutting the new growth on the branches because I had sugar snap peas in that container that I wanted them to take. Anyway, at the end of the season, I decided to leave one of the cuttings there to see if it made it throughout the winter, and it did. It was about 4 feet tall or so because the trellis was tall, and it came back beautifully. And what I did, I basically started it as a stander. So I came here, I chopped about half of that stick right in between where 2 new growth was happening, and this is what is going on right now. As you can see, I have some blooms getting ready to form there, and it's doing amazing. I did nothing to the soil. I added a little bit of fertilizer earlier in the year, but the soil is still the soil from last year where I had the sugar snap peas, and it's doing amazing. It needs a little bit of nutrients, but so far it's doing great. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it be this year, and at the end of the season I'm going to move it to new soil so that it has some better nutrients for next year, and hopefully this is the beginning of a gorgeous standard hydrangea. So as you can see, I have this kind of pathway made of grass. On one side I have my bench with the boxwood hedge over here, and on this other side I also have my boxwoods lined up with the Korean lilacs along this side. If you're standing where the camera is, you won't notice that I have this path back here because you only notice the bench and what's behind it, but it's a fun little way to use boxwoods or benches or potted plants. I have an idea for this area over here, but it's not going to happen anytime soon because we need to work on something else for the back porch before I can do something here. But the boxwoods are a nice way for me to just kind of start with the idea that I have. And hopefully you'll see that here if we're still around in a couple of years. Last year in the summer, I extended this boxwood hedge all the way towards the planters along the side of the Korean lilacs. For the last couple of years, I only had this line right here of boxwoods that basically frame the garden fountain and all the perennials that I have in there. But last year I decided that I wanted to just extend it. So this boxwood hedge originally was going this way, but instead I took a couple of them out and then I extended it all the way down. And right about here where I have this Rozanne geranium is where the mature or the older boxwoods end. And from here on, I believe that's where I have the newer, smaller boxwoods. You cannot really tell the difference from one or the others. There is a little bit of different in size, but only if you're really paying attention. But if you see them, everything just line up nicely in a row, you cannot really tell. Did I mention how much I love this geranium, you guys? It's definitely getting a little bit all over the place, but what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to come here soon, and then I'm just going to cut these legs that I have here so that the plant, the perennial, just pushes up a little bit more growth, and everything is like soaking wet. If you want to know more about the spacing, how I did this, what I did to the ground, just check the video. I will post links below to that video specifically so that you can see how it looked like, and you can now see how they are currently doing. One of the struggles that I have with this flower bed is with my lavender. They are way floppy. I mean, they're flat on the ground here. You cannot see them because, well, they're all the way in the front. They're almost done blooming. They smell amazing. But yeah, I think it's just, you know, it has been raining like crazy, so I know that they don't appreciate too much water, so it is what it is. I'll probably cut the blooms. They're almost done blooming. I'll probably cut them and bring them inside to do something with them. Maybe I'll hang them to dry. I don't know. Do you guys do something special with your lavender plants? Gosh, they smell amazing. And if I don't know if you can see it, but the bees are just loving everything about the lavender blooms right now. Also, my little quick fire hydrangeas that I have there, they have been there for at least 4 years. This is probably the best that they have looked in the past 4 years, probably because it has been raining like crazy. I don't have anything on irrigation. There is only one bed that I have on irrigation, but it's not even on. So everything that I water, or everything that needs water, I water by hand. I enjoy it. Everything here is just thriving. It's looking great, except for my lavender, but it still looks awesome. I do have some dahlias on the back, between the two tall boxwoods back there in front of the honeysuckle, and they seem to be doing okay. I probably do need to stake them somehow to the trellis on the wall. That's what I did last year. I just basically came and grabbed a little bit of string to attach them so they wouldn't be all over the place, and that worked out great for me. I have a couple of crocosmias that I planted last year. They came back and I am really happy about that, and I am just so excited for them this year. My containers are just out of control, you guys. The salvia is quickly just coming out of its place. I am constantly out here just trying to fix this, but I mean, they love the heat, they love the rain, and this is what happens, right? The nasturtiums are looking a little bit sad. It's understandable. They have way too much water and way too much sun. But the purple Vista salvia, Vista purple salvia back here, you can actually see it now, and it's getting tall. I don't know if it's getting taller or if the nasturtiums are just getting smaller and that's why you can see them. I don't know. But my window box, you guys, that I recently planted is doing amazing. This sweet vine potato is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And the purple flowers that I have back here, they're amazing. I mean, everything here is just looking so, so gorgeous. Sweet alyssum, heucheras. I have the bunny tails that I started from seed. I think they are done for the season. They just look a little too sad. And my CANNAS, I am so sad for my CANNAS because the Japanese beetles are starting to find them. I don't know if you can see all the dead that has been happening, but they look gorgeous. You guys, I started this from seed. I can't believe that something this beautiful is so easy to start from seed. So right now I'm just waiting for the seeds to be ready to start getting brown, and I can save more seeds, and then I can start it all over again next year. If you are lost, you will be standing somewhat close to where my planters, my huge planters are. So you follow that path of boxwoods where my garden fountain is. You find the containers, the combination that I have here with my gorgeous CANNAS, and in the other side, we have more containers. I enjoy putting containers together. Right over here in this huge plastic resin combination container, I have 2 tomato plants, and I have about 3 plants of white marigolds. I haven't seen a lot of blooms of the marigolds, but apparently they're happening. They're going to seed, so I'm definitely going to be saving seeds from these gorgeous flowers. And I have a bunch of tomatoes here. These are gorgeous. I made a little like a teepee type of trellis, but these tomatoes are huge. I mean, these are heirloom, indeterminate tomatoes. Indeterminate tomatoes, and basically they just keep on growing. If I don't stop them, if I don't top them, they will just keep on growing and they will just keep producing. And I love that. I absolutely love that. And right over here, I have more containers. I have a container that is only holding Victoria blue salvias, and I do have my little angel there. You can hardly see it because the salvias are huge. The bees are going crazy. I have this container with foxgloves. They're about to be done. The bees are still loving, though, all of the little blooms that are going on here. Hello. And over here, I have a container with just nasturtiums. And these are beautiful trailing nasturtiums over here. So everything right here in this corner is containers, except this little limelight hydrangea that I have in this this corner on this side. Let me turn the camera around so you can see. And right over here is kind of where I start adding more vegetables. I started with the tomatoes on the other side. I have dill right here that I started from seed. My CANNAS on this container, there is a raised bed right here that is on 4 legs, so it's a like really elevated raised bed, wooden raised bed. I have CANNAS here that are being eaten by Japanese beetles. I have some, I think some Caldibracoa, I can't remember the type, but I also have some dahlias, the mini dahlias here. I have some perennials. I have more cherry tomatoes. I have some jicama growing on the back, and that's when I start adding more vegetables, because on this side of, on the other side of the garage, I have my vegetable garden, my raised beds. So this right here, you guys, is where I grow most of my vegetables. I do have maybe a tomato plant or some herbs on containers somewhere else, but this is really where everything happens. I have probably about 44 tomato plants this year. I do prune them hard. I don't let all the suckers just go wild. I am able to grow that many tomatoes here because I go hard on the pruning. I prefer to have bigger size on my tomatoes than more quantities. I hope that makes sense. But this is my second year with my vegetable garden, and so far they're doing amazing. Last year we added all of these raised beds. This year added the hedge, just little things here and there. And I don't know if you can see, this right here is my tomato arch. I have, let's see, on the front, I have a cherry, then I have 2 indeterminates, and then I have 2 indeterminates. So in total, I have 6 tomato plants here. But let me tell you, these Hawaiian currant tomatoes, I'll show you the size. It's like the size of a dime. They are the most productive plants that I have ever seen. Not only that, I mean, they're covered with fruit, but they grow fast and thick and crazy. I mean, I could literally take one of these plants and cover this entire arch by themselves. I definitely think that having 2 here is overkill, because it's only the middle of July and I still have August and September to go. So yeah, and they're so tasty, they're amazing. So as you can see, I add a lot of flowers and I add a lot of basil to my vegetable garden. I don't necessarily grow a lot of vegetables here, like a lot of varieties, but mostly tomatoes, spicy and sweet peppers, have onions, beets, tomatillos, basil, zucchini. I have jicamas this year. I have 2 types of melons, and that's it. I think that's it. So, oh, and I have, you know, herbs, rosemary, thyme, all of that. Cilantro is one of my favorites. I'm not really gonna give you a tour of what's in every bed, but that's basically what I have. I'll probably just do a specific video of my vegetable garden to tell you exactly what I have, what varieties. But basically, this is my little heaven back here. I am constantly here daily. It's starting to rain. That's my cue that this video needs to end. I am constantly here every day, you know, just checking on them, seeing what needs to be done. This year, one of my priorities is just to enjoy being out here instead of worrying, are they having enough? Do I need to cut, or do I need to add? All of that stuff that you just can keep me occupied. So these dahlias, I got them by mistake. They were supposed to be nice, huge, pink, light pink dahlias. Instead, I got these little purplish variegated ones. It's all right. I have the lemongrass that I started from seed in that container as well. And the mint, you guys, the mint, look at that, is doing amazing. It wants to take over. I know that they say that mint is invasive, and I mean, that's for sure. It's doing amazing in that container. And my coffee cups, holding water, I love that. Let me show you the double click cosmos that I started from seed, you guys. Look at that. And look at these pink ones. Oh my gosh, they're amazing, just amazing. This is my garden, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Maybe you got a couple of ideas. Maybe you want to replicate something in your own garden. Let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, if you aren't subscribed, I would love for you to consider subscribing to the channel and give us a like if you haven't. Until the next video.